Hello and welcome to my review of the brand new Necron Overlord model found in the Warhammer 40,000 INDOMITUS box set. Currently there are only 3 ways of picking up this model because he's not available individually. You can either buy this INDOMITUS box set, which is no longer available, so that might not be an option. You can pick up the Command Edition of the Warhammer 40,000 box set, which will set you back £105, but you also get the Primaris Captain in there as well. Or finally, the Elite option, where again you get the Captain and you get this Overlord. It's important to note that the Recruit Edition does not include this Overlord. It instead includes the Royal Warden. So that means that you're either going to have to pay £125 for this set, £105 for the Command Edition, or £65 for the Elite Edition, just to get this model. When he is released individually, and I can't see why it wouldn't be, I'm pretty sure he'll set you back either £20 or £22.50. I'm leaning more towards the £22.50 mark, maybe even the £25, but he'll be in that kind of ballpark figure. He's a tall model. He's almost as tall as the Space Marine Captain. I'd say he is taller than the Space Marine Captain because the Captain's on that big base. But anyway, we'll go through some size comparison later on. Firstly, let's have a look at the model himself. We'll have a look at all of his detail. Then we'll go through the size comparisons, and finally we'll go through his rules, which are found in the Edge of Silence supplement, which you will get in Indomitus. No doubt you'll get the little supplement in those other 2 editions I mentioned. You can find all of his data sheets and his points cost in the Warhammer 40,000 app, but you will need to subscribe to that app to get all of the features, including the data sheets. So let's have a look at the model himself then. We'll just have a little zoom in. So here he is, looking very resplendent in his metal skeleton thing and his blinged up chains, I want to call them. Got a load of piping and tubing and things in his chest cavity. You've got this ridiculous long range weapon, which is called the Tachyon Arrow. It's for some reason a silly ranged weapon. We'll go through his rules in a bit. And then he's equipped with a hyperphase glaive, this thing. Very kind of, I want to say Egyptian looking, very Tomb Kings, very Ossiarch Bone Reapers. I mean, they're metal skeleton warriors, aren't they? Truth be told, Necrons never really connected with me. I never saw the appeal when they were first released. I think way back in 3rd edition or so. Might have been 4th edition, yeah, I think it's 3rd edition. But over the past few years, I've grown to appreciate them and build up a small collection. And as I've said in previous videos, I will be purchasing all of the new Necron releases, mainly for the channel, mainly to give you guys a look, because I think some of the models are going to be quite pricey. I've just got a funny feeling about that. And I want to give you the first look for those to see whether it's worth you spending your hard-earned cash on them. Anyway, you've got a rock here with a little scarab on there. It'd be nice if he was kind of munching on that I want to say iron rebar of this reinforced concrete. That would be a cool little feature if he's just munching on it, but he's just chilling out. Yeah, a fair bit of detail, very Necron-esque. I like the headdress thing and the flared shoulder pauldrons, which, you know, give his back a lot of protection, but nothing to do with his front. So get a few bolt rounds in there and you pop his arm off, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, this is the Necron Overlord. I'd say the main HQ, but that would be completely overlooking the Plasmancer, the Royal Warden, and the Skorpek Lord, which is, yeah, costs more points and is much more bigger and much more impressive and things. Anyway, let's go through some size comparisons with him, and we'll start off with all the Necron models. So here is just a Necron Warrior, and as you can see there, Necron Warrior is you know, head and shoulders shorter, fair bit smaller, which is great because your Overlord is going to tower above your normal Necron Warriors and is going to be easily identifiable as the HQ choice. Next to the Royal Warden, which is an HQ choice, he's similar kind of height. I think they took the same lessons at school or something, because they are pretty much the same model number, I want to say, off the factory line. But this Royal Warden has got a load of these chainy bracelet type things, like a cloak of them almost, on his left side, and he's also sporting a skull with the bone part of the skull cracked open, and instead of any melee weapons, he's just equipped with a relic Gauss blaster, or Gauss blaster, I want to call it Gauss. Anyway, that's the Royal Warden, so the other HQ choice, and then that's your troop choice. Next to the other big HQ choice, the Scorpec Lord. Absolutely, you know, crazy, the size of him compared, and you know, it really shows you like the size of their heads, the size of the flensing claw as well, and his hyperphase harvester glaive type weapon. It really goes to show you just the difference there in sizes. You know, you may want to take him as your main HQ instead. Next to the Scorpec destroyers, right here, Scorpec destroyer is, I want to say, similar height, but more of a presence because it's like a tripod type thing rather than bipedal. In the same vein as the Scorpec Lord, you know, they work really well, the aesthetics. But that's how he measures up to those. And finally, another HQ choice which I absolutely love, which is Illuminor Serraz. Illuminor Serraz is on a four-legged version of like a Scorpec Lord even, but is even bigger than the Scorpec Lord, believe it or not. But yeah, there you go, that's how he measures up to that. And that's one of my largest sort of HQ models for Necrons. And of course it wouldn't be a full Super Saiyan review if I didn't do a size comparison with a absolutely ridiculously sized model, in this case the Necron Seraptech. The Overlord is probably halfway up the third notch on the Seraptech's leg. So that just gives you an idea of the size of one of these 412 models. It is over £200 worth of model, but gives you some kind of idea where he measures up next to one of these super heavy units. Further size comparisons I'd like to make are with the new Primaris models in the kit. So this is probably the most appropriate, the one with the Primaris Captain, and as you can see, the Captain is very, very similar. The glaive makes the Overlord look taller, but this Iron Halo type thing makes the body of the Captain look taller. If you remove the scenic base, the Overlord would be taller than him. That's just as it is. The base just adds, you know, a few more millimeters to his height. But similarly sized, I say matched, well, you know, I'll leave that up to you, but similarly sized HQs, which is great. Obviously there's not the big discrepancy that you get with the Scorpec Lord and the Primaris Captain, but there we go. Compared to the Lieutenant, he's going to be taller. Compared to a normal Intercessor, or Assault Intercessor in this case, he is taller as well. And of course, next to an Eradicator, he's taller. So the only model that's taller than the Overlord in the Space Marine Force is the Captain, and that's only because he's on the scenic base. So that's fantastic, really, when you think about it. That you know, Necrons, their HQs are taller and arguably more imposing compared to the other. And compared to all of your other Primaris units. The final size comparison I'd like to make is the one I always make, which is with a Legacy Space Marine, Sly Marbo, and a Primaris Space Marine. So here's a Legacy Space Marine. The Overlord makes the normal Space Marine look tiny. The normal Space Marine is barely up to his chest. I mean, he does have a bit of scenic base. But yeah, you can imagine normal Space Marines, even there's not a Space Marine Captain and things, being quite small compared to the Necrons and Necron Overlord. Sly Marbo is absolutely teeny. And then Primaris, we've just seen the other Primaris size comparison, so not much in it, but still taller than your standard Primaris, in case you were wondering. So that's it for the size comparisons. You've now entered my part of the review, where I will go through all of his rules, found in the Edge of Silence supplement book that's included in the Indomitus box set. I don't know how many points he costs in match play, but you'll find his points in the Warhammer 40,000 app, but you will have to pay a subscription to get that information within the app. But what I can tell you is he is an HQ choice, and he's a power points cost of a 5. His stat line reads movement of 5 inches, weapon skill 2+, ballistic skill 2+, strength 5, toughness 5, and 5 wounds. He's got 3 attacks, leadership 10, and a save of 3+. The model is equipped with a tachyon arrow and a hyperphase glaive. Now the tachyon arrow, which is that thing mounted on his right gauntlet, and it's a range 120 inches. It's an assault one, it's strength 12, its AP is -5, and it's a damage of D6. The bearer can only shoot with this weapon once per battle. It's an insane weapon, you can only get one shot with it, and it might even only do damage of 1, but you're pretty much going to be able to fire at anything on the board with that thing, and it could do a lot of damage. And it's going to go through a lot of armour. A volcano cannon would be proud. But that's his only ranged weapon. The hyperphase glaive is his melee weapon, and it's a strength +2 of the user, so that's strength 7, AP -3, and a damage of D3. That's very strong. Good at cleaving through Space Marines. Abilities. Living Metal. You're going to have to see the Codex Necrons for that, because it's not included in the supplement. Phase Shifter. This model has a 4+ invulnerable save. So that's decent. It's got a 3+ normal and a 4+ invulnerable. My Will Be Done. In your command phase, you can select one friendly Dynasty unit within 9 inches of this model. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. A unit can only be selected for this ability once per phase. So that's nice. You get 1 for the hit roll for units within 9 inches. That's a good, big, strong bubble, that. Relentless March. When a Dynasty unit within 6 inches of this model is selected to make a normal move or an advance, add 1 inch to the distance it can move. That's alright, you get an extra 1 inch. Keywords: Necrons, Infantry, Character, Noble, and Overlord. So he's a pretty strong HQ choice. He does have a decent number of wounds, 1 less than the Space Marine Captain. He is lacking a little bit with the number of attacks. He's only got 3, but his leadership is very good, and his weapon skill and ballistic skill are very good, and he's got a strength 5 and toughness 5. He's going to be hitting with those strength 7 attacks. So he's not to be overlooked. He's alright in combat, he just doesn't have that many attacks. He does provide nice buffs, so it is worth taking the trouble to try and take him out. You're probably going to get hit by that tachyon arrow, which kind of sucks. It's a bit of a cheap shot, but there we go, what can you do? I don't think it's game breaking, and I don't think it's worth you trying to take him out in your first turn. Just get rid of that shot. It's gonna happen, just let it happen. So, but anyway, compared to, say, other Necron HQ choices, such as the Royal Warden, he's got more wounds, he's got a better weapon skill and ballistic skill, and he's got a very decent melee weapon. Comparing him to the Skorpekh Lord does seem a bit harsh, because that Lord has a better strength, toughness, wounds, attacks, and a better movement speed. Skorpekh Lord does have a decent ranged weapon. The Flensing Claw is alright, but the Hyperphase Harvester is where it's at, because it is that AP -4, and it's a solid damage D3 as opposed to just damage D3. And the Skorpekh Lord, it still has a 3+ normal and a 4+ invulnerable, and gets to reroll hit rolls of 1 for his attacks, and has a aura buffing ability called United in Destruction, which is applicable only for the Destroyer cult, but still. I'll go more into depth in his rules in his review, but for now, that is the Overlord. What do you guys think? Do you think he's missing 1 or 2 extra little abilities? Can you get a slightly better Overlord for Necrons? I'm not quite sure. But that's a topic for another time. What do you guys think of the Necron Overlord? Please do put it in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The flesh is weak.